us within manufacturing, we see the secular shift of manufacturing back to the US as being incredibly strong. We think we're at the time of the intersection of a number of technologies that really are maturing. And it's not just the maturation of these technologies, but the intersection between them. Things like 3D printing, which has been very tough to invest in over the last 15 years. There have been some winners, but not standouts. Right. But I think now, with manufacturing coming back to the US, it's reaching a really interesting point. Yep. The application of AI into businesses, clearly, what we're seeing with the latest wave of AI can really improve operational efficiencies. And we think that's important, both on the software side and on the hardware side. Believe it or not, the maturation of a smartphone has really enabled miniaturization of a lot of the pieces necessary for robotics. So we think robotics, drones, and the like are a natural outgrowth of the investment in smartphones.
Hey, I'm Nate Wheeler. I am the host of Manufacturing Insiders Podcast. Really want to thank you for joining today. I hope that you learned some really great insights from this manufacturing leader that you're about to hear from. I also hope that you'll go ahead and hit that like button on the video and subscribe to our channel so you can see more of the stuff that comes out as we're continuing to publish content. Every like, every subscribe really helps us get this message out. And the message that we're sharing is really just a message of hope for manufacturers. I understand, I work with you guys every day. I understand how many different obstacles are in your faces, from technology to government regulations to competition from foreign and domestic markets. And I really want to share strategies with you on how to deal with these issues. And I think there's no better way to learn than hearing directly from somebody that solves some of these challenges. Thanks for watching today, and look forward to seeing you soon. That's really interesting. Can I pause you there? Because I want to learn more about that. You know, and kind of where my mind went when you were saying that was, I spoke with a really interesting guest a few weeks ago that they're improving workplace safety with AI. And basically, you can take a video of an employee moving an object from location A to B, and it's showing you kind of a wireframe of their body in red, green, yellow to determine where. And so they can actually do this from a smartphone. So you're removing the barrier to entry for really anybody to be able to analyze these workplace situations. Is that kind of the thing that you were?
So definitely on the software side, and you know, the AI embedded in video and digitalization of video has enabled that enormously. But no, I was actually thinking, you know, prior to smartphone, gyroscopes were pretty big, accelerometers were pretty big, right? Processing was pretty expensive.
Yep.
The acceleration of smartphones and the investment in all of the things that are necessary for the cameras, for GPS and the like, really has, you know, crushed the cost, the size, and the weight of these sensors, so that you can now put multiples of them, you know, within robotics or drones at very accessible costs, at weights that make sense, etc. The advances in battery technology have really enabled the shrinking of batteries, the density of power.
Yep.
And all of those things feed in on themselves. And as those curves come down on the price, weight, function point, whatever the particular metrics are for that piece of technology, you open up new markets, and the intersections of them are fascinating. And so the idea of having a robot in the workplace that has, I don't know how many chips in it, how many processors, how many sensors, its ability to process the environment in almost real time, you know, is very enabling.
Right. So you're,
you know, and we're at the forefront of some of these sciences. You know, there's a debate going on right now in self-driving cars as to whether having LiDAR and radar is additive to the process or takes away from the process. Tesla's on one side and says only cameras, and others have included LiDAR and radar and claim that the extra data helps them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a debate around this, and it's a fascinating debate, and it's at the edge of science, but we're continuing to see Tesla's self-drive capabilities outperform others that have all those other sensors. And also, Tesla's solution is about quarter the price because it doesn't have all of the expensive equipment embedded in it. And the lower the price, the larger the addressable market. So watching, Cybercab, which at the moment have safety drivers, versus Waymo, which used to have safety drivers and doesn't anymore, how that can grow is fascinating because if Elon Musk is right and cameras can perform as well and his claim better than mixed sensor environments, the ability for cybercabs to grow at a very fast pace, much faster than Waymo can, and much less capital intensity, is fascinating. I don't know the answer, but I think it's these kinds of things that will be enabling and will spill over into other technologies. We're used to the idea of the space race and technology that spilled over it into things that people didn't think, like Teflon pans and pens that can write upside down, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
In the same way, every technology advancement spins the stuff off. But whereas back in the 50s, technology was, I don't know, and I'm going to pick a number, 5% of the economy. Today it's 75%. So there's much more opportunity and intersection. Yeah. So we think in both manufacturing and energy, there will be an unleashing of orthogonal thinkers. People who say, if we're bringing it back, let's not just copy the processes in Asia and drop them in here. Let's think of new ways and new products, etc. Take advantage of producing locally, of mass customization. This is why I think 3D printing is fascinating. And I'll give you an example if you want of that. And doing it a little differently. And we think there will be. So the massive problem you're solving is we export all of our expertise and supply chains overseas. And how do you bring them back? I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take 10, 20 years. But how do you bring the whole supply? And I actually believe there'll be hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs attacking different pieces, and it will all come together. And the new supply chains will be sleeker and more efficient and thought about from first principles in the same way that SpaceX thought about going to space differently as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as long as there is some continuity in the overall goal, and that's the biggest flaw in the American political system, is that every 4 years or every 8 years, you have somebody else come in with a totally different philosophy on how things should be done.
So on these principles, firstly, there are secular themes independent of administration. We, on the energy side, the demand for energy here way outstrips supply. We have to fix that problem. We're on a manufacturing podcast, so let's talk about that. On the manufacturing side, I think it's just going to happen. From these dynamics, both energy and manufacturing, these are bipartisan policies. I don't think there's a lot of difference. We have to assume there's a couple of recessions, a couple of administrations. A lot of things change.
Right.
But I think the secular drivers here are so powerful and so important that I don't think anyone would say, no, you know what, we'll let India and China make all of our, essential cancer drugs. Like, I just don't think, I think people wake up, I think people have woken up and they're just like, we have to change that.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that's going to happen. And with the automation that's happening, which is disruptive, a lot of people are going to say, where are the real opportunities? And I think a lot of entrepreneurs will come out of the woodwork and start businesses to do different pieces of this. That if you look back 10 years from now, you go, my God, we built an incredible supply chain.
I agree.